Well, now let's move into our next film that we're discussing. Which did you see American Fiction at TIFF? American Fiction is what we're talking about. Do you see this one at
Right,
TIFF?
right, right. I did see this one at TIFF. It was I picked it for People's Choice, so that's good on me.
Nice, nice,
Lot of
yeah.
great movies, a lot of great movies at TIFF. Honestly, I will say, but I definitely saw this one and rewatched it in theaters here when it came to New York City. So yeah, love that movie.
Interesting. Well, I definitely regret not seeing it at TIFF because like my friends were. I think it was the same night that I watched like Finest Kind, which is the Paramount Plus movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Jenna Ortega that everyone hated. It was not a good movie, and I
Oh yeah,
definitely
that was
wished
on
I
my
had
list
seen
in the beginning. Yeah, I had that one
I definitely
to
wished I had
watch.
seen American Fiction in retrospect, especially
Yeah,
because it had won the People's Choice, and I didn't see it until December actually. Um, but yeah, this movie, even the director Cord Jefferson said they kind of came quietly to their TIFF premiere, and then they ended up winning the People's Choice and
yep.
shooting into the Oscars race now. And it's about this guy Monk who's sort of fed up with the entertainment industry's exploitation of Black stories being only about trauma, or most stories about like most minorities when they tell stories. So as a joke, he writes. He sort of leans into this with his new book, and it like he ironically writes it, but it unironically becomes a hit, which is not what he intended. And it's Jeffrey Wright delivering what some are saying is the best performance of his career.
Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen all of Jeffrey Wright's earlier stuff, but I just
Mm-hmm.
think we're seeing him in
Me
a light
neither.
that we probably haven't seen him before. When I hear him talk about the film, he kind of says that it's kind of stepped him out like out of his comfort zone. He did doing something a little different. But yeah, I think listening to Cord talk too. He says like going into Toronto, he was like not sure that they would get accepted to even show their movie at the festival. Then you turn around and you have the People's Choice. I just think it's a crazy good story. And Cord, the director, kind of lived that life. He was a writer
Mm-hmm.
before he was writing movies. He was just like a journalist, and he was saying like they were like his bosses and his team were asking him the same type of questions like, "Don't you want to cover this like black kid that got killed by the cops?" And he's like, "Can I just talk
Yeah,
about
I
this
heard
other
that. I heard
stuff?"
that.
So I think he had a lot of his like personality and his personal like story in that movie, similar to Sully and Past Lives. So yeah,
Definitely a good way to sum up the themes of the movie is when his agent, played by John Ortiz, they have a great dynamic, says like, "Oh, the publishers they wanted a blacker book," and he's like, "I'm black and it's a book.
and
It's
I
my
wrote it.
book."
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so like, so yeah, Cord Jefferson. He actually said when he got the book that it was based on called Erasure, he said he felt like it
yep,
was a gift for him. He felt like it was written for him, and he
yeah.
wrote this movie that I think blends the comedy and the drama so well. In that it talks a lot about the entertainment industry in ways that are very true because a lot of these movies that were like getting awarded, which I think are still very good movies, but The Color Purple or Precious or 12 Years a Slave, like a lot of movies that are just about pain rather than stories about Black people who are just overcoming issues that have nothing to do with like discrimination or slavery um, and all that. So I think, or
Yeah, and
Boys in the Hood, even I think is like
yeah,
a
his whole
one
family,
that he
like
parodies.
Monk's a writer, his sister is a like a MD, his brother is a surgeon. It's just like they're just like a normal family. So it's like a way to like just step out from that like stereotype of like what we typically see for like black film, black content.
Yeah, and I think Jeffrey Wright also beautifully balances like some of the pain that his character is going through, both as a writer and in his family. But also, this is a side that I think we've never seen of him is the straight comedy aspects of it. He plays so well, like when he's taking on this fake identity on the phone and doing like an exaggerated black scent,
Yeah,
to like because he's trying to see if like people will love like this this like criminal
ex-con.
marginalized ex-con sort of persona that he's taking on, and so I think he did that wonderfully. And I definitely
Yeah,
agree with all the praise, but another highlight I think was Sterling K. Brown. I thought
yeah.
just he was just so goofy, and every time he came on the stage, like he would make you unexpectedly laugh. But then there was also another side of it where their sort of brotherhood also became kind of touching in a cute way.
Yeah, I think watching that movie, it's a story pretty much about a family, but a lot of it on the three siblings plus the mom. And of the three siblings, I thought that his sister and brother in Sterling K. Brown and Tracy Ellis Ross were just like really carrying it. Of course, Jeffrey Wright's doing his thing
Mhm.
and it's great, it's perfect, but like you just turn that movie on not expecting that it's going to be the Sterling K. Brown show or the Tracy Ellis Ross show, and then it just simply quickly becomes
Yeah,
their movie.
absolutely. And a lot of great people are in this movie. I mean, Adam Brody shows up for a bit.
Yeah,
Even Keith David has an appearance, which I didn't know anything about, which is cool. In terms of a satire, I think the reason it sort of hits home is because it's kind of true. Like it hits true to home to people like to artists like Cord, and I think what he said he loved, especially was adding an important part that wasn't in the book was adding the conversation between Jeffrey Wright and Issa Rae, where they're like,
yeah.
okay, should we just give the establishment what they want because this is the way to like break through as black artists and give black stories, or should we stick it to them and call them out for all their BS directly?
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite scenes. No, I don't think. That is one of my favorite scenes of the year for film. Just that conversation was super real and like, was really getting going before they were interrupted by like their white counterparts who were also judges, which is like another like it's like meta right there. And then of course,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to vote that book in as the winner. And then the other judge who was like the white woman was like, I just think it's really important to listen to black voices, and when the two black voices in the room are telling you don't pick that book. So it's just like a lot of those like little moments like really set this movie like up for success and like pushed it over the edge compared to
Mm-hmm.
some of the other stuff that's been out.
I would say another thing that this movie kind of explores is like all these like woke white people acting like they need to get offended on behalf of black people. Like when he's trying to make a point about the N word, or like basically just all these people like saying like, oh, this story is so important or this is so true. Like when they don't necessarily know firsthand what the black experience is like or what it's like to be a minority. Like they just
Yeah.
think, oh, it'll like this will sell great for our values. I guess that also like brings us to the idea of, like you said, truthfulness and perspective, that he brings a lot of that into it, but it has so
Yeah.
much fun with it. Like I could have only imagined like you seeing it at TIFF, the amount of people laughing consistently.
Yeah, no, for sure. Both times I saw it in the theater, it was just good reaction from the crowd. And me watching it the first time, I watched this movie because I have a colleague who read the book in school, and she told me that this movie is based off that. So I was like, all right, cool. I went in not knowing anything really about the movie. So it was just like such like a pleasant surprise seeing it really on screen, and then seeing it again had that same feeling. And I would watch it the third time. I'm not the best at rewatching things in the theaters
Mm-hmm.
because like doing what we do, we have to watch so many movies. But I like it's just one of the rare movies that I was just like I watched this twice, and I would have watched it the third time if it was showing where I was spending my Christmas vacation, because which is like a downside of the movie. It's like you got to put it in more screens. I wish it got more kind of exposure then, but whatever. It's a story for I guess another day.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say before we go into Oscar's chances are the very final shot of this movie. I don't even want to spoil it, but the final shot, there's
Yeah,
sort of like an exchange that I just think is so perfect. And even if the movie was like losing you later on or something, this final shot sort of like solidifies everything you're thinking, like I don't even want to say dark way, but like a really witty and true way. Like, yeah, that's Hollywood for you.
yeah. No, I thought the same thing. It's like this. It kind of made me think like, oh, this is not a normal movie. Like this is not your standard like throw it on streaming. We kind of just half-assed it. It's kind of funny and throw it on. I was like, oh, this is like it solidified it as like, okay, this is a smart film that people should watch.
Yeah, it sort of like knows what people are thinking while also telling them what they might have not heard before, but probably should know, I
Yeah,
would say.
exactly. I'm all about the satire movies. Like I talked about in my review, but like things like Don't Look Up and Irresistible, like these are the movies that I gravitate to, where it's like you're trying to like touch on something serious, but also like making it funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of Oscar chances, it's looking good in terms of a Best Picture nomination for this one. It's getting on a lot of people's favorite lists. It's been nominated for the Golden Globe, as well as for the Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy for Jeffrey Wright. And the Critics' Choice, it was also nominated for some good stuff. So I think it's looking good in terms of Best Picture nomination. Where else do we think it's going to get in at this point?
Yeah, I think those are good. I think it should be a Best Picture nomination. I think Sterling K. Brown should get nominated for Best Supporting. I guess Jeffrey Wright should be nominated as well. And adapted screenplay, I agree with that. Yeah, I think
I
those are
think
the ones
those
that I can
are.
think of.
I personally would say those are the four it's getting in. I don't think it really has a chance anywhere else. The thing is, I think Jeffrey Wright is sort of one of those guys where not only is he really great in this movie, but he's been sort of an unsung hero where people have loved him in a lot of things, but he's never been nominated yet. So I think he's one of those artists where with a movie like this, they would rush to nominate him for the first time, make him Academy Award nominee Jeffrey Wright. In
Yeah,
terms of Sterling
exactly.
K. Brown, I wouldn't say he's in too many people's predictions, but he is in mine because I think he's also one where he's an artist that whenever he comes in, people really admire and enjoy him. Um, and I think he might have a similar path to when Brian Tyree Henry only got into the Critics' Choice and then the Oscar nomination, which like Sterling K. Brown, he didn't get nominated for the Golden Globe or a lot of other things yet, but he did get nominated for the Critics' Choice. So that's what gives me hope for him, even though he would have to beat out like Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things, Downey for Oppenheimer, Gosling for Barbie, Charles Melton for May December. I think those are like the hard hitters now, but I could absolutely see Sterling K. Brown swooping in and even taking De Niro's spot. And then in terms of adapted screenplay, I feel like I honestly think it's in the running to even win because I think they love these in adapted screenplay. They love these films with a message or something with a new voice. Like we
Yeah.
look at the ones they gave it to recently, like Women Talking or Coda, Black Klansman, Jojo Rabbit. All those films had sort of a social message and a radical, fresh voice that I think, I would absolutely love to see Poor Things win adapted screenplay, but I think Cord
Yeah.
Jefferson has a
It's a
good
great
shot to
matchup.
win the Oscar for this. All right, so with that, it seems like again, American Fiction and Past Lives are both films that are sort of like they came from first-time directors, and it was really just a lot of audience and industry passion for them. Like they weren't directed by famous people, and American Fiction, it had some famous actors, but it was really just, I guess, that script and the audience reaction that propelled it to what it seems like a lock now for a Best Picture nomination.
Yeah, it has to get that, and I think like just like a Sterling K. Brown win just kind of elevates him and gets people more interested in his career and his work. I think it's well deserved. So
Yeah,
I hope
I
it
would
gets
be
some
pretty
notoriety.
pleased if Sterling got nominated because I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah,